Well, it's a nice afternoon, and I'm kind of out of things to do in town, waiting impatiently for things to dry up enough on the farm that I can make my way out. So I thought I'd go for a walk, and I don't know how far it is, maybe 3 miles or so to the South Saskatchewan River, what we call the ferry landing. So in the earlier days, before there was bridges, there was a ferry going across the road here, or across the river, and this was the main road from Empress to Medicine Hat, going through the other towns along the way. Fork in the road. To the right is down to the ferry. To the left is what was known at one time as the swimming hole. In my mother's day, my grandparents' day, there was a swimming hole there. They had a diving board, a little beach, a little fire pit area. And it was apparently a pretty busy place on a Saturday afternoon. That old swimming hole area, though, is completely washed away. The river has moved a lot since those days. These two rivers are actually always on the move, especially the red deer. So this is the ferry. It sits right where they pulled it out. I'm not sure what year that would have been. This is what's left of the winch that was used to pull the ferry up out of the river. So you can imagine a cable wrapping around that spool in the middle, and then a team of horses hooked onto the end of that beam. Horses walk in a circle, stepping over the cable, and it winches the ferry out. There's a bit of a weir where I'm standing, if that's the right word. I'll say a rock berm that was to deflect the water out around the ferry landing. And that has held the ice back here, forcing the water to flow out around it. That ice out there was trying to make its way down the river. That was all the noise we could hear. And it seems to be stopped there. Hung up on the bottom, I guess. These rivers are quite shallow. It's evident by this ice pushed up here that not long ago the river was quite a bit higher. They must be holding back to fill reservoirs upstream. You can see here that it's probably gone down about 18 inches. So Mom once told me that when she was young and they would be spending the day down at the swimming hole, this hill on the road back to town is pretty steep, and often the old Model Ts had to turn around and do it in reverse. Better traction. I guess now we'd call that front wheel drive. So the road up, it's been relocated a few times over the years. That's probably the first version there, or an early version. She said it was kind of scary for the women. Often they would get out and walk. Looks like another version of the road up. And today's road. My goodness. So the swimming hole was still a thing in the 70s when I was a teenager romping around. No longer a diving board, but still a gathering place. More in the evening, we go and make a fire. We set up benches, had enough room to get the car down in there, so we had tunes. Might have drank a beer. It was a pretty good spot, but it is all washed out now. Nothing there to go to anymore. So here we are on the south side of Empress, a spot that we used to call the Beacon Hill. There was a tower here with a light on it, I believe DOT, Department of Transportation. The thing about this is this was a couple decades before cell towers, so a tower on a hill with a light on it was a landmark. So it was right here. I was parked, or I should say we were parked, in my dad's 1973 Ford half-ton. This is where I got my first kiss. So, well, anyway, it was actually, you know, gum out, glasses off, might have been necking. I was one nervous sapling. Too nervous, I guess, to really appreciate the significance. But 50 or almost 51 years later now, I can still feel the nervousness, but I have gained appreciation for the significance. Thanks, Brenda. Isn't that just the sweetest? It's the western meadowlark. They've just made their return. Feels like spring when they're back. So I walked down to the South Saskatchewan yesterday and decided that was a pretty good walk, so I'm doing it again today. So I was out to the farm this morning. There's still a bit of snow on the road, and of course mud around that as it melts, but it's going to dry up pretty quick, so got me anxious, ready to go. So once I get doing stuff out there, then it'll be about the end of the videos wandering around these river valleys. And I'm not sure how it's going to go out there. I want to do some farm videos because I got some stuff I want to share, things we're doing on the farm. I find them quite exciting. But once I do get into it, it's kind of all consuming. It takes up the day. Kind of ease in the spring. But once the farming season's on, the seeding, that pretty quick moves into haying. And then that moves into harvest. Typically I'm getting up somewhere around 4 in the morning. Go hard all day. Try to get to bed by 11. So I don't know where the video work, the editing is going to fit in, but I am hoping to do some. As far as the farming goes, we did try to plan our short season, if you can ever plan a season. But anyway, the intention this year is to grow flax and triticale, which will be baled in flax. I can swath and kind of force an early harvest. I have a pretty big dream, well, a reduced dream, but still pretty big. The intention was to, as soon as harvest is done, go to the east coast of Canada. I've got a desire to hike some trails there. And then the plan was to make our way down the Appalachian Mountain Range, do some hiking along the way, and across to Tucson again. And that would pretty much take up the winter. But recently we've shifted that plan and are going to keep our trip in Canada. So the intention is to, after harvest, get to the East Coast, spend as much time as the weather allows, and come home again. But that'll be the first time for me to be past Quebec City. So I'm looking forward to that. I've always had the desire to get to Newfoundland. Not sure why, so I guess I'll get there and find out why. So another little story here as we come up to this ferry. In the early days, pre-railroad, so prior to 1914, the town of Empress was being built, started, and there was homesteads being built in the area. So the demand for lumber was great. But with there being no railroad yet, the lumber was brought down the river from Medicine Hat. And before that, I'm not sure where the mills were, I think along the foothills. But the demand was so great that I'm told that as they bundled up barges in Medicine Hat, or wherever they came from upstream, and brought them down the river to this point right here, and then get them up out of the riverbed. And I've seen a photograph where this was stacked with lumber through here. And as the word spread that there was another shipment of lumber coming down the river and going to land on a certain date, there was people gathered up here waiting for those barges, and the lumber was sold as it was brought up off the river. Once the barge was empty, you dismantle the barge and sell that. Pretty exciting times. the road back down into the Red Deer River Valley. It's starting to sound like spring. Well, that's it for wandering these river valleys. It's time to go farming. Thanks for coming along. Bye for now.